I never thought picking up trash would teach me more about human nature than any philosophy class ever could. But here we are. Let me start from the beginning, because context matters when you're trying to figure out if you're the asshole or if the world's just that messed up. I'm a garbage collector in Vancouver. Has been for 8 years now. Started when I was 23, right after dropping out of university. That decision alone was enough to make me the family embarrassment, but we'll get to that nightmare later. The job itself? It's honest work. Early mornings, physical labor, decent union benefits. You're invisible to most people. They look right through you like you're part of the truck. Sometimes that invisibility is the best part of the day. It was a Tuesday morning in March when everything changed. One of those crisp early spring mornings where the air still bites but you can smell the ocean mixing with pine. My route took me through Shaughnessy, one of those old money neighborhoods where the houses look like they were transplanted from English countryside estates. Trees worth more than cars, hedges trimmed with the precision of a military haircut. I was working the back of the truck with my partner Ray, who's been doing this for 26 years and has the shoulder problems to prove it. We had our rhythm down. He'd grab the bins on the left, I'd take the right. We'd work our way down the block like a well-oiled machine. Except this particular morning, there was a bag sitting beside one of the bins. Not in it. Beside it. Black duffel bag. Heavy-duty fabric. The kind that costs more than my weekly grocery bill. And it was bulging. Another one of these rich idiots can't figure out what a garbage bin is for, Ray muttered, already reaching for it. I got to it first. Don't know why. Maybe it was the way it sat there, perfectly placed, like someone had set it down carefully rather than tossed it. Maybe it was just my turn in the rotation. Either way, I grabbed the handles and immediately knew something was wrong. The weight distribution was all off. This wasn't old clothes or broken electronics. This was dense, packed, deliberate weight. My brain went through the possibilities in half a second. Drugs, body parts, weapons. Living in Vancouver, you hear stories. You see things. The opioid crisis isn't just a news headline when you're cleaning up the evidence every morning. Ray, I said, something's not right with this one. He came around, took one look at my face, and his whole demeanor shifted. Ray's got good instincts. Comes from 2 decades of seeing everything humans throw away, literally and figuratively. Set it down gentle, he said. We're not getting paid enough to deal with someone's murder evidence. But here's the thing about being the family screw-up. The one who chose garbage collection over law school like my brother Marcus, or consulting like my sister Jennifer, or literally anything else like my youngest brother David, who went into finance. You develop a certain relationship with curiosity and consequences. When you've already disappointed everyone, there's a strange freedom in it. What's the worst that could happen? They stop loving me? Already there, folks. I unzipped the bag, and I'm staring at more money than I'd seen in my entire life. Bundled cash. Stacks of hundreds, 50s, 20s, wrapped in elastic bands, organized, real. My hands started shaking. Ray let out a sound like someone had punched him in the solar plexus. Close it, he whispered. Close it right now. We didn't see this? But I couldn't stop looking. My brain was doing the math automatically. How many bundles? How thick? What's that worth? Enough to pay off my apartment. Enough to never worry about winter tires again. Enough to finally not be the failure at every family gathering. We should call the police, I heard myself say. Ray looked at me like I'd suggested we should juggle the money while tap dancing naked down Robson Street. Are you insane? You call the cops with this much cash, you think that money's going back to whoever it belongs to? This is Vancouver, man. This is either drug money or organized crime or both. You want those people coming after us? You want the cops thinking we're involved? We throw this in the truck. We compact it. It becomes someone else's problem. We go home alive. That's the play. He wasn't wrong. Every word made tactical sense. But something in me, maybe the part that still wanted to believe I was a good person despite what my family thought, maybe just stupidity, couldn't do it. There's an address on the gate, I said, nodding toward the massive iron entrance to the property we were standing in front of. This came from this house. I'm going to ring the bell. Don't. I have to. You really don't. But I was already walking toward the intercom, duffel bag in hand, my heart trying to escape through my ribcage. I pressed the button and waited. The camera above the gate moved, focusing on me, on my reflective safety vest, on the garbage truck behind me, on the bag in my hands. A man's voice came through, smooth and cautious. Yes? Hi, I'm with the city sanitation department. I found this bag near your bin. It seems like it might be important. Silence. Long enough that I thought maybe he'd just call the police himself and I'd spend the rest of my day. Maybe longer trying to explain why a garbage man was holding what looked like a crime scene's worth of cash. Then, don't move, I'm coming down. The gate opened 90 seconds later, and the man who walked out was immediately recognizable. Like, stop you in your tracks, I've seen your face on billboards recognizable. James Holbrook, tech entrepreneur, philanthropist, the guy who'd sold his startup for some ungodly amount and then proceeded to invest in half the successful companies in Canada. He was in the news constantly. Good news, mostly funding for hospitals, scholarships, the kind of rich person who actually seemed to give a damn. He was in joggers and a hoodie, looking exactly like a middle-aged wealthy guy who'd been interrupted during his morning routine, but his eyes went straight to the duffel bag and something shifted in his expression. Relief. Real, genuine relief. "That's mine," he said quietly. "I thought it was gone." I handed it over. "It was by your bin. My partner wanted to just take care of it, but it seemed important." He unzipped it right there, did a quick count or check or whatever you do when you're verifying a duffel bag full of cash, then looked at me properly for the first time. "What's your name?" "David." "David Chen." "David, do you understand what you just did?" I shrugged, suddenly feeling very aware of how I must look unwashed, wearing trash-stained gloves, probably smelling like the back of a garbage truck. Return something that wasn't mine? This was payment for a property deal. Cash because the buyer insisted, old-fashioned mindset. I had it ready for transport and my assistant was supposed to secure it, but there was a miscommunication and it ended up. He gestured vaguely. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that 99 people out of 100 would have kept this. Or at least tried to." "Wouldn't get far," I said. "That kind of money disappearing, people come looking. Smart and honest. Rare combination." He paused, studying me in a way that made me uncomfortable. Not threatening, just assessing, like he was trying to figure out what kind of person stands in front of a small fortune and gives it back. "Are you working all day?" "Until 3. Can you come back here after your shift? I'd like to talk to you properly. There's a reward, obviously, but I'd also just like to know more about the person who did this." I should have said no. Should have taken whatever reward he offered, if any, and disappeared back into my invisible garbage man existence. But there was something in the way he asked. Not condescending, not like he was studying a curiosity, just genuine interest. "Sure," I said, "I can do that." Ray thought I was an idiot, told me so for the remaining 5 hours of our shift. Rich people don't give rewards, they give promises. You're never seeing a dime. And even if you do, it'll come with strings. Everything comes with strings when you're dealing with that kind of money. Maybe he was right. Probably he was right. But at 3:15 that afternoon, I showed up at James Holbrook's gate again. This time in clean clothes. And the man not only remembered me, but had a check waiting. $25,000. I stared at it like it was written in a language I didn't speak. "That's too much," I said. He laughed. Actually laughed. That's exactly the response that tells me it's not enough, but it's what I can justify as a reasonable finder's fee without creating awkward questions with my accountant. Consider it a thank you. And also, he hesitated, which seemed unlike him. "I'd like to stay in touch, if you're open to it." "Why?" "Because you're interesting. Because I've spent the last 15 years surrounded by people who would have kept that money and felt justified doing it. Because I think you might have a perspective I don't get exposed to enough." He smiled, and it wasn't the polished smile from his publicity photos. It was tired and real. Or maybe I'm just getting old and sentimental. "But I'd like to buy you coffee sometime. Talk. No strings. You can say no." I should have said no. But I said yes. That was 3 years ago. In that time, James became something I never expected. A friend. A real one. He didn't treat me like a project or a charity case. We met for coffee every few weeks, then every week. We talked about everything: politics, philosophy, the housing crisis, what it's like to be invisible in your own city. He asked questions about my work that no one had ever asked. What do you see that other people don't? What does the garbage tell you about how people live? And slowly, carefully, he started teaching me about money. Not in a condescending way, not like he was the rich savior educating the poor garbage man. but like someone sharing a skill set he thought might be useful. "You returned $340,000 to me," he said once, about 6 months into our friendship. "You could have changed your life with that money, but you didn't because you have principles. That's admirable. But David, principles don't have to mean poverty. Let me show you how money actually works." He taught me about investing, index funds, dividend stocks, compound interest. He explained tax strategies that I'd never even known existed. He introduced me to his financial advisor, not to manage my money for me, but to educate me on how to manage it myself. We can't afford Marcus's treatment. The fundraising isn't enough. We've borrowed from everyone we can. His chances, they get worse every day he doesn't get the medication. Please, Wei, I know we haven't been. I know things have been difficult, but he's your brother. He's my son, please. And there it was, the full court press, the entire family falling apart at once, and suddenly I was supposed to step up. Suddenly I mattered. Suddenly they wanted to reconnect and talk about family being everything and how money doesn't matter in the end. I met with James the next day. Told him everything. He listened without interrupting, which was something I appreciated about him. He never rushed to judgment or advice. He let you tell the whole story first. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know. They're my family." "Are they?" He wasn't being cruel, just precise. Family is supposed to be the people who support you, who see your value, who show up for you even when it's inconvenient. Did they do that for you? No. So what changed? You're the same person you were a year ago, 3 years ago. You're doing the same work. The only difference is now they think you might have money to give them. They don't know about my investments, about any of this. James raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Vancouver's a small city for certain circles. Word travels. Someone could have mentioned seeing us together. Someone could have noticed you bought property. You're not as invisible as you think anymore, David." That thought hadn't occurred to me, but he was right. I've been so careful to keep my financial life separate from my family. But that didn't mean they hadn't heard something, hadn't pieced together that maybe the garbage man brother wasn't as broke as they assumed. "What would you do?" I asked. I'd ask myself one question. If they win the lottery tomorrow, do they call you to share the good news? Or do you only hear from them when they need something? I knew the answer. We both knew the answer. But knowing the answer and acting on it are different things. I did help Marcus. I couldn't not. Cancer is cancer, and whatever my feelings about my brother, I wasn't going to let him suffer because of pride. I set up a payment directly to the hospital for his treatment. $20,000. Not enough to cover everything, but enough to ensure he got the medication he needed. I didn't tell him it was from me. I set it up as an anonymous donation through a medical charity James connected me with. Marcus and my parents probably think it came from their fundraiser, from the kindness of strangers. Maybe that's cowardly. Maybe I should have made them acknowledge it, acknowledge me. But I didn't want their gratitude, didn't want the complicated mess of them knowing I had money, them reevaluating me based on that fact. I just wanted my brother to not die. Jennifer's situation was trickier. Her vision problems were real, but they weren't immediately life-threatening. The specialist appointments and treatments were expensive, but not impossible for someone with her income to manage with payment plans. She wanted me to just give her the money so she wouldn't have to deal with the financial stress. I told her I'd help by connecting her with a financial advisor who could restructure her debt and make the payments manageable. She was insulted. "I don't need a financial advisor. I need help, actual help. Why are you being so cold about this?" Cold. I was being cold. Not her, when she'd spent years making me feel worthless. Not her when she'd called my life choices simple and acted like I was a charity case. But me for not immediately opening my wallet. I didn't give her money. I gave her the financial advisor's contact information and told her I believed she could handle this herself. She hasn't spoken to me since. The other David, I ignored entirely. His job loss wasn't a medical emergency. It was a temporary setback for someone who'd spent years earning multiples of what I made while looking down on me. He'd find another position. He'd be fine. And if he wasn't, well, welcome to uncertainty. Welcome to what it feels like when your life doesn't go according to plan and nobody's there to catch you. But my mother broke me in a way I wasn't prepared for. She called 2 months ago and her voice was different. Flat. Empty in a way that scared me. "I need to tell you something," she said. And I need you to understand I wasn't in my right mind. I was desperate. My stomach dropped. What did you do? I contacted someone. Someone who handles problems. I gave them money to hurt you. Not kill you. Just scare you. Make you. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I was so angry that you had money and weren't helping your family. And I heard from Linda Chen's daughter that you were seen at a restaurant with James Holbrook. And I put it together. And I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process what she was saying. My mother had tried to hire someone to assault me because she thought I had money and wasn't sharing it. I stopped it, she continued, words rushing out. As soon as I came to my senses, I contacted them again and called it off. I told them I made a mistake. They kept the deposit, but they didn't do anything. You were never in danger, but I needed to tell you. I needed you to know how sorry I am, how desperate I was, how much I failed as a mother. She was crying, sobbing like she had when I dropped out of university, like her world was ending. And all I could think was, you tried to have me attacked. You're my mother, and you tried to have me hurt because you thought I wasn't giving you money. Wei, please say something. Please. I know it's unforgivable, but I'm begging you to understand. I hung up. I sat in my apartment for hours, James's question echoing in my head. If they win the lottery tomorrow, do they call to share the good news? My mother had tried to hire someone to assault me, not in a moment of passion, not in immediate anger, but calculated. She'd found someone, paid a deposit, set it in motion, then changed her mind. Yes, but only after she'd already crossed that line. What do you do with that information? How do you reconcile the person who raised you, who sacrificed for you, with the person who could contemplate hurting you because you weren't useful enough? I told James about it the next day. He went pale. You need to report this, he said immediately. She's my mother. She tried to have you assaulted. David, this isn't a family squabble. This is a crime. This is someone deciding that your body, your safety, your life were less important than money. The biggest gap between the wealthy and everyone else isn't income, he told me. It's financial literacy. Once you understand the game, you can start playing it. Not to get rich necessarily, just to stop being poor. I took the $25,000 reward money and invested it exactly how he suggested. Within a year, it had grown by 18%. I started putting aside a percentage of every paycheck, something I'd never been able to do before, because I'd never understood where to put it. James connected me with a real estate investor who taught me about house hacking. I bought a small duplex in Surrey, rented out the other unit, and suddenly, my housing costs were cut in half. 2 years in, I had $75,000 in investments and a property that was appreciating faster than I could have imagined. I was still working as a garbage collector, still showing up at 4 a.m., still hauling bins, still invisible to most of the city. But I wasn't broke anymore. I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. I had options. And I didn't tell my family any of it, because here's what you need to understand about my family. They didn't just disapprove of my career choice. They were ashamed of me, actively, vocally ashamed. My parents immigrated from Hong Kong in the 80s with nothing, worked brutal hours, sacrificed everything to put 3 kids through school. The expectation wasn't just success, it was exceptional success. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, professions with prestige, professions that proved the immigrant dream worked. Marcus, my older brother, went to law school, became a partner at a corporate firm by 35. Jennifer did consulting for tech companies, pulling in $200K a year before bonuses. David, my younger brother, not me, the other David, because my parents liked the name enough to use it twice, which should tell you something about their attention to detail regarding their kids went into investment banking. Then there was me, the one who couldn't handle the pressure of university, who dropped out in second year because I was having panic attacks before every exam and sleeping 4 hours a night and genuinely thought I might actually collapse, who chose a city job with a union and benefits and predictable hours because I needed stability more than I needed status. The disappointment was nuclear. My mother cried, not quiet, tears full, sobbing, like I'd announced I was dying. "How can you do this to us?" she asked. Not how can you do this to yourself, to us. Because my choices were never about me. They were about how they reflected on the family. My father just stopped talking to me for 6 months. When he finally did speak to me again, It was to tell me that I wasn't welcome at family dinners if I was going to embarrass everyone with questions about my job. So I stopped going. Marcus would call occasionally, usually when he was drunk, to tell me I was wasting my potential. "You were smart enough for law school," he'd slur. "You just gave up. You're lazy. You're taking the easy way." The easy way. Like hauling garbage in Canadian winters is easy. Like being invisible is easy. Like reconstructing your entire sense of self-worth after your family rejects you is easy. Jennifer was worse because she pretended to be supportive. "I think it's great you're finding yourself," she'd say, in that tone people use when they're congratulating a child for using the toilet properly. Not everyone is cut out for corporate life. Some people need simpler paths. Simpler paths. Like I was intellectually incapable of complexity. The other David, my younger brother at least, had the decency to be honest. "You're a garbage man," he said once at a Christmas dinner I'd been guilted into attending. Like, that's actually your job. Mom and dad worked their whole lives so their kids wouldn't have to do that kind of work, and you just chose it. How is that not spitting in their faces? I left that dinner early, didn't go back for 2 years. The calls became less frequent, then rare, then basically non-existent, except for the obligatory birthday text that felt more like checking a box than actual communication. I wasn't invited to Jennifer's wedding. Marcus didn't tell me when his first kid was born. I found out from a Facebook post 3 weeks later. The message was clear. You're not really part of this family anymore. And you know what? I made peace with it. Or I thought I did. I built a life that didn't include them. Made friends at work. Dated occasionally. Spent my weekends hiking or reading or learning about financial independence. I had my coffee meetings with James, who knew about my family but never pushed me to reconcile. "Some relationships are toxic," he said once. "Even family ones, especially family ones. You don't owe anyone access to you just because you share DNA." I thought I was doing okay. I thought I'd moved on. Then, about 4 months ago, my phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. My mother. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken in over a year. But something made me pick up. "Wei," she said, using my Chinese name, which she only did when she was emotional. "It's Marcus. He has cancer." The world tilted. Whatever complicated feelings I had about my brother, and they were complicated, a tangled mess of resentment and old affection and hurt cancer, wasn't something I wished on anyone. "What kind?" I asked. "Pancreatic. Stage 3. He starts chemotherapy next week." Pancreatic. Even I knew that was bad. That was survive 5 years if you're lucky bad. "I'm sorry," I said. "Because what else do you say?" "The treatment is expensive. His insurance covers some of it, but not all. The drugs he needs, we're trying to figure it out." There it was. The reason for the call. Not to inform me because I was family. Not because they wanted my support. Because they needed money. "How much?" I asked. "We're not asking you for anything," she said quickly. Too quickly. "I just thought you should know. About your brother." But the implication hung there, thick and obvious. I told her I'd think about it. Hung up. Stared at my ceiling for 3 hours. 2 weeks later, Jennifer called. "I don't know if Mom told you, but I'm having health problems too." My sister, who ran marathons and did yoga retreats and posted about clean eating constantly, was having health problems. What kind? My vision. It's been deteriorating rapidly over the past year. The doctors think it's a degenerative condition. They're running tests, but the specialists are expensive, and it's not covered under my benefits because it's classified as pre-existing, even though I didn't know about it until recently, which is complete bullshit. But she was talking too fast, the words tumbling out. "I might go blind, David, like fully blind. And I can't work if I can't see, and I've got a mortgage, and—" "How much do you need?" I asked. "I'm not asking for money. I wanted you to know, since we're family. Since we're family, right? The family that had excluded me for years. The family that was ashamed of me. The family that made it clear I wasn't welcome unless I changed careers and proved I wasn't an embarrassment. Suddenly, we were family again." The other David called 3 weeks after that. He'd lost his job. Market downturn, firm-wide layoffs, bad timing. His severance would last a few months, but he had student loans and a condo and a lifestyle that required a 6-figure income. "I'm not asking for a handout," he said. "I just thought maybe you knew someone who was hiring. Even like, I don't know, city positions or whatever. I'm not above doing whatever at this point." He wasn't above it. How generous, how humble, My brother, who'd mocked my career, was now asking if I could help him get a city position or whatever, as if those jobs were consolation prizes for people who'd failed at real careers. I told him I'd ask around. I didn't. Then my mother called again, and this time she was crying in a way I'd never heard before. Desperate, broken crying. She stopped it. After she started it. After she paid money to make it happen. The fact that she had a crisis of conscience doesn't erase what she did. He leaned forward, intense in a way I'd never seen him. You're telling me this like it's a difficult family situation. It's not. It's attempted assault. At minimum, you need to protect yourself. From my mother. Yes, from your mother. From all of them. David, they don't see you as a person anymore. They see you as a resource. And when they couldn't access that resource, one of them tried to hurt you. Who's to say they won't try again? Who's to say one of the others won't get desperate? I didn't report it. I couldn't. Something in me still couldn't take that step. Couldn't put my mother in legal jeopardy even after what she'd done. Maybe that makes me weak. Maybe that makes me a fool. But I did cut contact. Completely. I blocked all their numbers. I deactivated my Facebook account so they couldn't reach me that way. I told my landlord and my employer that under no circumstances should they give out my information to anyone claiming to be family. And I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, Marcus showed up at my apartment. I don't know how he found out where I lived. Maybe my mother still had my address from years ago. Maybe he hired someone to find me. But there he was at my door, looking thin and tired from chemo, but alive. We need to talk, he said. I should have closed the door. Should have called the police for trespassing. But he was my brother, and he was sick, and some part of me still remembered being kids together before everything got complicated. I let him in. He sat on my couch and looked around my apartment, at the decent furniture I'd bought, at the artwork on the walls, at the evidence of a life that was comfortable, if not extravagant. So it's true, he said. You do have money. I'm doing okay. Better than okay, from what I hear. James Holbrook's mentee, real estate investor, the garbage man who made good. He wasn't being cruel, he just sounded tired. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? Before you needed money, would any of you have cared? He was quiet for a long time. Then, no. Probably not. We were assholes to you. I was an asshole to you. I'm not going to pretend otherwise now, just because I need something. At least he was honest. Mom told me what she did, he continued. About the person she contacted. It's insane. She's horrified. She's in therapy now. Did you know that? Actual therapy. Dealing with what she did. She knows she crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Good for her? David, Way, if you're going to sit in my apartment and ask me for something, use my actual name. Way. He said it carefully, like he was relearning pronunciation. I'm not asking you to forgive her, or any of us. What we did, how we treated you, it was wrong. We made you feel worthless because you chose a different path. We punished you for not meeting expectations that were never fair to begin with. And then, when we needed you, we showed up like suddenly family meant something again. Like you were supposed to forget years of disrespect because now we needed a favor. That's not how family works. That's not how people work. So why are you here? Because I'm dying. He said it flatly, matter of fact. The treatment you paid for. And yes, we figured out it was you. The timing was too convenient. It bought me time. But the cancer's aggressive. I've got maybe a year, maybe less. I felt something crack in my chest. I'm sorry. Don't be. I mean, I'm sorry too, but that's not why I'm telling you. I'm telling you because I don't want to die with this between us. I don't want my last year to be spent knowing my brother won't talk to me because I was too proud and too stupid to treat him like a human being when it mattered. What do you want from me, Marcus? Nothing. I want to give you something. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This is a letter I wrote to Mom and Dad and to Jennifer and David, telling them exactly what I think about how they treated you, telling them that if they don't respect you, if they don't apologize and mean it, they shouldn't expect anything from you. Not money, not time, not forgiveness, nothing. I took the envelope but didn't open it. I don't know if it'll change anything, he said. Probably it won't, but I needed you to know that at least one person in this family sees what happened, sees what we did, and thinks you have every right to never speak to any of us again. He stood up to leave, and I found myself saying, "Do you want coffee?" I was about to make some. He smiled. "Tired? Sad? But real? Yeah, I'd like that." We talked for 2 hours, about everything. About how the pressure to succeed had messed all of us up in different ways. About how he'd pushed himself so hard for so long that when the cancer diagnosis came, part of him was almost relieved to have an excuse to stop. About how he wished he'd made different choices, been a better brother, seen me as a person instead of a disappointment. It didn't fix anything, didn't erase years of hurt, but it was something, a small bridge in the rubble. He comes over now once a week or so. We watch movies, play chess, talk about nothing important. He doesn't ask me for money, doesn't push me to reconcile with the rest of the family. Just shows up, spends time, then leaves. Being a brother in the simplest sense. The others have tried reaching out since Marcus's letter. My mother sends messages through Marcus saying she understands if I never want to see her again, but she wants me to know she's getting help. Jennifer sent a long email apologizing for everything, explaining that she's been in her own therapy and realizes how much she projected her own insecurities onto me. The other David sent a short text, "I was a dick, I'm sorry, no expectations." I haven't responded to any of them because here's what I figured out. Sitting in my apartment that used to feel too small but now feels like exactly the right size. Forgiveness isn't owed. Reconciliation isn't mandatory. Family doesn't get a free pass to hurt you just because you share genetics. My mother tried to have me assaulted. She crossed a line that doesn't get uncrossed. She can get all the therapy in the world, can apologize until she's out of breath, and it doesn't change the fact that she thought hurting me was an acceptable option when I wasn't useful to her. Jennifer and the other David spent years making me feel like I was less than, like my choices were embarrassing, like I was a burden on the family name. They'll get to suddenly decide I'm worth their time now that circumstances have changed. The only one who's made any real effort is Marcus, and he's dying. Maybe that's what it takes a terminal diagnosis to finally see past your own ego and recognize how you've treated people. I don't know if I've forgiven him either, but I'm willing to spend time with him, to give him some peace in his last year. That feels like enough for now. James asks me sometimes how I'm doing with all of it, if I'm okay, if I need anything. I'm figuring it out, I tell him. And I am, slowly, messily, but figuring it out. I still work as a garbage collector, still show up at 4 a.m., still haul bins and see the parts of the city that people try to hide. But now I do it by choice, not because I don't have options. My investments are growing. My property is appreciating. I could quit tomorrow and be fine financially. But I don't want to quit. I like the work. I like being invisible sometimes. I like the simplicity of it. You pick up trash, you dispose of it properly, you move on. There's a clarity to it that the rest of life doesn't offer. People ask me sometimes, when they find out about my friendship with James or my financial situation, why I still do this job, why I haven't moved up or moved on. And I tell them, because this job taught me more about people than any other work could have. It taught me that what people throw away says more about them than what they keep. That everyone's life is messier than it looks from the outside. That invisible doesn't mean worthless. It also taught me that the person who returned a bag of money because it was the right thing to do is the same person who can set boundaries with family members who hurt him. That integrity isn't about grand gestures. It's about small choices, made consistently, even when no one's watching. I found a bag full of cash 3 years ago and gave it back. That decision changed my life in ways I never expected. But not because of the money I gained, because of what it revealed about everyone around me. My family revealed that their love was conditional, that I only mattered when I was useful. That blood relation doesn't guarantee respect or support or basic human decency. James revealed that friendship can exist across economic divides. That mentorship doesn't have to be patronizing. That some people give without expecting anything in return. And I revealed something to myself, that I don't have to be anyone's doormat to be a good person. That saying no to people who hurt you isn't cruelty. It's self-preservation. That forgiveness is a gift, not an obligation. So no, I haven't decided what to do about my family in any final sense. I see Marcus because he's dying and he's making an effort, and I'm not heartless. I might, someday, be willing to talk to the others. Might. But I'm not in a hurry. I'm not desperate for their approval anymore. I don't need them to validate my choices or my worth. I have a good job, good friends, financial security, and a clear conscience. I returned money that wasn't mine. I helped my brother get treatment without making it about ego. I set boundaries with people who tried to manipulate me. I walked away from toxicity even when it was difficult. That's enough. I'm enough. And if my family can't see that, can't respect that, can't treat me like a human being worthy of basic decency regardless of my income or career, then they don't deserve to be part of my life, family or not. The bag of money didn't change me. It just revealed who everyone really was, and now I get to decide what to do with that information. I'm choosing myself, finally, completely, without apology. And that feels like finding something more valuable than any duffel bag full of cash could ever be.